The world ended not with a bang, but with the soft, final click of a suitcase latch. Marcus Thorne stood in the doorway of the bedroom he had shared with his wife for 7 years, watching as she sealed away the last remnants of their life together. The sound was a gunshot to his heart. "Alara," he whispered, the name a plea, a prayer on his lips. "Don't do this. We can fix it. I can fix it." She turned, her face a beautiful mask of resolve and a sorrow so deep it seemed to have carved new lines into her features. She was an artist, her hands usually smudged with charcoal or clay, now clean and cold. "You can't fix this, Marcus. You can't arrest it or interrogate it away. This isn't a case. This is us. And we're broken." "Because of the job?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. The late nights, the missed anniversaries, the classified horrors he could never share, the emotional armor he could never quite take off, even at home. It had all built a wall between them, brick by silent brick. "Because you left me to go live inside your own head," she said, her voice trembling. "I lived with a ghost, Marcus. A brilliant, driven, heroic ghost. But a ghost nonetheless. I need to be seen. I need to be held by someone who is actually here." She brushed past him, the scent of her jasmine perfume a cruel, fleeting ghost of 1,000 happy memories. The front door opened, and then closed. The click of the latch was softer this time, but infinitely more final. Special Agent Marcus Thorne, the man who had stared down cartel lords and dismantled domestic terror cells, the most feared investigator in the entire FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit, crumpled. He slid down the wall onto the cold hardwood floor, his broad shoulders shaking with silent, ragged sobs. He had saved so many. He had failed the one person who mattered most. The fortress of his mind, his greatest asset, had become his prison, and now it stood utterly, completely empty. The days bled into a monochrome haze of grief and self-recrimination. Denial was a luxury his analytical mind wouldn't allow. The pain, however, was a constant, gnawing companion. The spacious DC brownstone, once filled with the warm chaos of Alara's art and laughter, was now a museum of his failure. Every empty easel, every dust-free square on a shelf where a sculpture used to be, was an exhibit of what was lost. He threw himself into work with a viciousness that terrified his junior agents. He was a storm of focused intensity, dissecting criminal minds with a cold, surgical precision that left no room for the messy, aching humanity he felt collapsing within himself. He was the Reaper in the briefing rooms, a nickname earned for his ability to psychologically dismantle his targets. But the Reaper was hollow. His superior, Director Coulson, a man with a face like a worn leather map and eyes that missed nothing, called him in. "Thorne, you look like hell." "I'm fine, sir," Marcus said, his voice a flat, neutral tone he'd perfected for the witness stand. "You're not fine. You're a raw nerve. Take a week. Mandatory. That's an order. Sir, the cross-country killer case. We'll be here when you get back. Or someone else will close it. Go home, Marcus. And I don't mean the office." And so he found himself trapped in the silence of the brownstone. He tried to clean, to organize, to do anything to outrun the quiet. In the back of a closet, he found a box Alara had missed. It was filled with his things from before, old college textbooks, a faded Howard University hoodie, a picture of him and his late father, both smiling, years before the cancer took him. He pulled the hoodie on. It was tight across the chest and shoulders, the fabric thin with age. He looked at the young man in the photograph, full of fire and ambition, believing he could change the world without sacrificing his own soul. That boy had no idea of the cost. The doorbell rang, sharp and insistent, shattering the fragile silence. He wasn't expecting anyone. Coulson knew better. His friends had stopped trying weeks ago. He walked to the door, his movements heavy with a fatigue that had nothing to do with lack of sleep. He opened the door to find 2 men in crisp, dark police uniforms. Their cruiser was parked haphazardly at the curb, lights off. "Marcus Thorne," the taller one asked, his voice carrying an unnatural, rehearsed stiffness. "Yes." Marcus's instincts, dulled by grief, flickered weakly. Something was off. Their posture was too rigid, their eyes scanning the street rather than holding his gaze. The uniforms were right, but the badges, the shine was too new, the etching too shallow. "We have a warrant for your arrest," the second officer said, stepping forward, his hand resting on the taser at his belt. Assault and battery. You need to come with us right now. Marcus's heart, a numb weight in his chest, began to beat a slow, dangerous rhythm. This was a play. A bad one. He knew the procedures, the language, the cadence of a real arrest. This was none of it. This was a performance for the neighbors, for any watching eyes. A black man being led away in cuffs from his own upscale home. It was a story designed to humiliate, to intimidate, to disappear him. A cold, familiar calm descended over him, the professional armor snapping into place, sealing the raw, grieving man beneath a layer of impenetrable ice. "Let me see the warrant," Marcus said, his voice low, devoid of all emotion. The taller officer sneered. "You'll see it downtown. Now turn around and put your hands behind your back." In that moment, the grief, the loss, the crushing feeling of failure, it all coalesced into a single, focused point of fury. These men, whoever they were, had chosen the wrong day, the wrong house, the wrong man. They had come to prey on a man they assumed was vulnerable. They had no idea they were staring into the eyes of the Reaper. "No," Marcus said, the word quiet but absolute. "You are going to show me your credentials. Your real ones. And then you are going to tell me who sent you." The second officer went for his taser. Time seemed to slow, elongating into the hyper-aware state Marcus knew from 100 raid rooms. He saw the micro-expression of panic on the man's face. He saw the poor grip on the weapon. He saw the slight paunch under the ill-fitting uniform shirt. In one fluid motion, Marcus caught the man's wrist, twisted it with a precise, brutal efficiency, and heard the satisfying crack as the bone gave way. The taser clattered to the porch. The man screamed, a high, pathetic sound. The taller one lunged, and Marcus met him with an elbow to the throat, followed by a sweep of the leg that dropped him like a sack of stones. He stood over them, breathing evenly, the old hoodie stretching across his back. The grief was still there, a vast ocean inside him, but now there was an island of solid, unshakable purpose. These men were a symptom of the ugliness he fought every day. A ugliness he had let distract him from the beauty he had at home. He pulled out his phone, not to call 911, but to a direct line at the FBI field office. "This is Thorne. I need a containment and interrogation team at my location. We have 2 impersonators in custody." He looked down at the men groaning at his feet. The fear in their eyes was now real. They knew. He knelt, bringing his face close to theirs, his voice a whisper that promised unimaginable reckoning. "You picked the wrong house. You have no idea who I am." But for the first time in months, as he said the words, Marcus Thorne felt a flicker of recognition himself. He wasn't just a ghost. He wasn't just a failure. He was still the Reaper. And it was time to remember what that meant. The 2 impersonators, secured in the back of a very real FBI van, were small fish. Low-level enforcers for a white supremacist group Thorne's unit had been systematically dismantling. Their orders had been simple: embarrass him, rough him up, deliver a message to back off. It was a testament to his reputation that they felt they needed uniforms to even approach him. Sitting in Coulson's office later that evening, the director slid a coffee across his desk. "Hell of a way to spend your mandatory leave." Marcus said nothing. The adrenaline had faded, leaving the familiar ache of emptiness, but it felt different now. Less absolute. "They thought you were vulnerable, Marcus," Coulson said, his gaze piercing. "They saw a black man living alone in a nice house and thought he'd be an easy target for their theater of hate. They saw the color of your skin, not the content of your character. And they certainly didn't see the badge." The words landed with the weight of a timeless truth. They saw the color of your skin. It was a reality he navigated every day, a layer of constant calculation and vigilance that Alara, for all her love, could never fully comprehend. It was a part of the armor she couldn't help but feel separated by. "I need you to take a real break, Marcus," Coulson continued, his voice uncharacteristically soft. "Not a week. A month. Go somewhere that isn't here. That isn't work." "Sir, I can't just." "That's an order, Agent." Coulson's tone brooked no argument. "You're the best I have. But even the best blade can get brittle. You need to remember who you are when you aren't holding that badge." And so, Marcus found himself driving north, away from the capital, with no destination in mind. He drove until the city sprawl gave way to rolling hills and the dense, green silence of the Shenandoah Mountains. He rented a small, Rustic cabin on a lake. A place devoid of memories, a blank page. The first few days were agony. The silence here was different from the silence of the brownstone. It wasn't an absence, it was a presence. It was the whisper of pine needles, the cry of a loon, the lap of water against the shore. Without the armor of work, without the distraction of grief, he was left alone with himself. And he didn't like the man he met. He was angry. At the imposters. At the job. At Alara for leaving. At himself for letting her. He replayed every missed dinner. Every time he prioritized a case over her exhibition.